Welcome back to another episode. Series number one is in the books against the San Diego Padres. The Giants secured a series split with them, taking games 2 and 3 behind Kyle Harrison and Jordan Hicks. There was some good, some bad, some ugly, as there is in most baseball games. Even in the ugly games, there's usually some good things to take away from them. But we're going to kind of go through, what we saw and some of the takeaways from this opening series. One of the things with San Diego, I think a lot of people think with them losing quite a bit of talent, guys like Juan Soto and Josh Hader and Blake Snell, that they might not be very good. And the reality is they still have a ton of talent on that team, and they are probably going to still be in the mix for the wild card. And anytime you can go down there and play in San Diego and split the series at least, like that's a successful series. I know playing in San Diego hasn't always been the most friendly confines for the Giants, so if we keep that in perspective, that's a good way to at least start the series or the season, I should say. But some of the good things that we saw from this series, the offense looked really solid overall. They scored 25 runs. They scored at least 4 runs in each game. They had two kind of breakout games in games 2 and 3. Saw a lot of little things getting done, moving guys over, getting sack flies, just putting the ball in play to get runners in. The second game in particular, they hit 17 balls over 95 miles per hour exit velocities. So they're hitting the ball hard. They were getting a lot of production up and down the lineup. The only guy that really seemed to struggle was Jorge Soler. Um, a few guys, Flores isn't like hitting a ton yet, but he had a couple nice swings. Yaz only played a game and then went on paternity leave, so I'm not really going to count him. But everyone seemed to be swinging the bat pretty well. Chapman had a 2 home run game. Conforto's hit 2 home runs, including a grand slam yesterday. Jung-Hoo Lee hit his first career home run. Even Patrick Bailey, who I've been very critical of his bat. He's had a very nice start to the year after being kind of lifeless for most of last season and all of spring training, essentially. I made the video right after the first game and had kind of another ugly game, and then he's turned around and now he's the rest of the week he went 4 for 6 after that game and walked a couple times. So he's turned in quality at bats. So it'd be wonderful to see him develop at the plate and at least be a closer to league average bat. I mean, I don't even have that high of expectations for him, but that would be awesome to see. But lots of good. They're still working counts, they're drawing walks, and they did a lot of good things offensively. So that was awesome to see. The team is watchable, it's exciting. That's kind of a big takeaway from this whole series was after last season where it just felt like it, the constant line changes, the constant openers, the platoons, the everything. Like you didn't know who you were going to get on any given day, and now it feels a little more steady. They're still going to do some platooning, which that's fine, but you have a lot more steadiness in the lineup. You're going to see Jung-Hoo Lee at the top of the lineup. Chapman's going to be in there in the middle. Even Conforto, who a lot of us wanted to run out of town in the offseason. I mean, he's showing up. He looks really good right now. And if they're getting the pre-2021 version of Michael Conforto, we might have something, because that version of Michael Conforto is a middle of the order bat that's legit. So we'll see if he can keep it up. I'm cautiously optimistic, we'll say, for that one, but we'll see how he does going forward. He looked really good this weekend. So like I said, a lot of good things to see with the offense. Soler was the only guy. He went 2 for 15. He did draw 3 walks, so he's still working the counts, and he just looks off. And it's he's looked off all spring. But he's a guy that when he gets hot, he gets real hot and might hit like he'll put together a 10 homer month if he gets really hot. So I'm confident he'll get going at some point. We'll just have to wait and see when that when that happens. So, other good thing, the defense looked awesome. Only 2 errors all series. One was the Bailey throwaway in game number in the season opener, and Tyler Fitzgerald made a fielding error today But other than that, uh, clean defense, a lot of spectacular plays, especially out of the platinum gold glove winner or platinum glove winner over at third base and Matt Chapman, who just routinely made really difficult plays over there. Also, Nick Ahmed made a couple really nice plays. I made the joke that Fernando Tatis, I'm pretty sure, was going to mail them some, send some choice things in the mail to those guys after they both took away some hits from him on Saturday. Uh, so the defense looked really good. The only kind of, like I said, there's 2 errors and a couple pass balls, and the pass balls were pretty late. They weren't even balls in the dirt. They were balls that hit Murphy and Bailey in the gloves, and they bounced away. I just That's one of those things that I'm going to have concerns about this season. Murphy is not a good defender in any aspect, and I would have minimal expectations from him. He's going to bring a good bat, hopefully, but the defense, no. And Bailey, it's like I said the other day. Uh, there are concerns there. He does a lot of things at a very elite level defensively, but he also has some kind of laziness and recklessness to his game, and both showed up. He played 3 games, and he made an error, and he had a pass ball. I mean, both things showed up. So I have concerns. It doesn't make me think any lower of the guy. It doesn't make me not like the guy. I love Patrick Bailey. I like the way he plays overall. I like what he brings. I think he's going to be awesome, but there is stuff that he needs to clean up because the frequency in which he makes errors and commit and allows pass balls is, in my opinion, unacceptable for a starting catcher. But that's my opinion. I'm sure a lot of people are going to get mad about that in the comments, but is what it is. Other good from this series, starting pitching was really good outside of Dalton Jeffrey, who frankly has no business ever starting another game for this team. But there probably are reasons to which they opted to go with him versus, say calling it Mason Black, for instance. But Logan Webb, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. Kyle Harrison, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. The highlight for Harrison for me was the fact that he did that in 76 pitches. So he was actually really efficient. 0 walks for him in the game on Friday. So that was really nice to see. Jordan Hicks made a really nice start on Saturday. 5 innings pitched. He did throw 81 pitches, so he was a little less efficient. I think that's going to be the big question mark for him. 2 things for Jordan Hicks. His control gets a little bit wild. He did throw 51 strikes, so it wasn't like atrocious on that, but his control gets a little wild. His pitch count gets up, but he grinded, he battled. I appreciated like the effort. I was just hoping for 5. He gave them 5 scoreless innings. He looked really good. He's got really great stuff. I'm just worried about how his arm's going to hold up over the course of the season. And, we'll see kind of what they do with the pitch count. I feel like it would probably be in their best interest to kind of hold him to like a 90 pitch limit this season, being the first year that he's really stretching out his arm. But, we'll see kind of what they end up doing there. But really good effort. Awesome, opening start for him. So that was really good to see. And then the Dalton Jeffries game today. There are several guys that make it a lot more sense to have made that start, or even I understand he got hit too, but Kaiwei Tang maybe could have started and you could have piggybacked Landon Roop off of him, who probably could have given you 2, maybe 3 innings. There's a couple options. They could have brought up guys like Mason Black to make the start, but I also understand, the possible rationale behind Jeffries. And where I'm going with this is last season, the Giants made a massive mistake. They moved up Wade Meckler, added him to the 40 man, and started his clock way before he was ready. And now they're stuck with him on the 40 man, and they can't get rid of him because another team will probably, if they DFA him, someone else will claim him. And he does have enough value that they're not going to do that. So if you go bring in a guy like Mason Black, who, they're clearly knocking, I don't think he would have been a mistake per se. Like, he's more ready than Wade Meckler was last season. But if you add Mason Black to the 40 man and he only makes this one start, and let's say, he can be an insurance in case other guys get hurt, but as Cobb comes back and Snell is ready, and maybe later in the year, Robbie Ray, there's not a guarantee they're going to end up needing him. And if you bring him up for just one start, just for him to go back down into AAA, and you now started his service clock and for his service time, and you're now having to start burning options for him. Um, I can understand the rationale. I do think the likelihood is they would end up needing him later in the season for a handful of starts. So that would have been my preferred choice. But I think the reason they went with Jeffries is just as simple as everyone knew they were going to DFA Bart. Like that was going to happen at some point in the next. They knew it was going to happen sometime in this opening week, more than likely, because you weren't going to carry 3 catchers. And I think Jeffries is just a guy they're comfortable throwing aside if they have to. Like he's taking up a 40-man spot now, but how long he's taking up a 40-man spot, who knows? There's plenty of. I just don't think he's a guy they care about if they're fine with just dumping him and DFAing him later on if they need to. So that was kind of my takeaway on that. I don't like it because he had a nice spring. It seems like they were rewarding it, but watching him pitch, he kind of reminds me now. Junis put together a nice year last season, but he kind of reminds me of Junis, where I never had confidence in Junis because it never felt like he had a true out pitch. Like he had that one pitch that he could go to get a guy out. Landon Roop has an out pitch. That guy has a curveball that is absolutely filthy that broke down Manny Machado today, and a really good sinker, hard sinker to get ground balls. So there are guys. Mason Black has out pitches. He has a live fastball. He's got a sinker. He's got a good couple curveball slider combination and a changeup. Like he throws a lot of different things. He's got a good command. He can get outs. Jeffries does not have that, and there's a reason why he's been a 4A player in his career. So that was just kind of my thoughts on that. I'm not going to factor him on the starting pitching because, frankly, this might be the only start, and it should be the only start he makes as a San Francisco Giant. So moving on from him, though, the bullpen was the one thing that was just it was really rough this series. Now, again, the Padres have a really good offense. Like this isn't just, it's not like they showed up and crapped the bed against one of the worst offenses in baseball. Like the Padres are really good, a lot of talent everywhere, but every single guy in the bullpen gave up runs or had a rough spell or had a rough inning other than Landon Roop. He was the only guy to go through both his outings and was clean in both of them. Some guys look good in other ones, like Eric Miller had a really nice opening outing. Taylor Rogers had one and then gave up a run the next one. But it's just almost the entire bullpen got hit at some point. Doval had just a really lazy outing in the Saturday game where he came in and just committed 2 pitch clock violations. Luckily we've got Bob Melvin here now who is not going to tolerate that and has already said as much, where he said after the game that that's unacceptable and he needs to work on that, which is nice because this was an issue last season and it always felt like the catchers were doing their jobs, whether it was Joey Bart or Patrick Bailey or even Sable. They were constantly on top of that with Doval, but it genuinely felt like Gabe Kapler didn't give a crap last season if Doval did stupid stuff like that. So it's nice to have a guy like Melvin that has, seen enough already, and it's happened one time. So that was the one kind of negative that I saw in this series, was really just the bullpen and then Dalton Jeffries. But outside of that, the only other big news right now is, Joey Bart got DFA'd. If he does happen to clear waivers, he will get assigned to Sacramento. I think there's basically no chance that he clears waivers. I get what the Giants were trying to do. And frankly, I think he's going to maybe end up in Oakland. I think there's a really good chance Oakland does, because if you look at their roster, Shane Langoliers is terrible defensively. He would be a good fit there as a backup and really might get significant playing time because Langoliers could DH because he's got nice pop. So we'll see kind of what happens with that. I would Just seems like another Giant going over to Oakland wouldn't be shocking. And some other teams like Atlanta, who just lost Sean Murphy for some time, and Detroit with Scott Harris, the familiarity, maybe he wants him. But I think there's plenty of teams that are going to be interested in a guy like Joey Bart that has potential and is at least a solid backstop defensively today, and put a lot of good at bats out there in spring. Susan Slesser wrote an article where a bunch of scouts were raving about him, wondering even if the Giants are keeping the wrong guy with Tom Murphy as the backup. But what's done is done. I wish him the best. I hope he gets in. I really do hope he gets claimed, because I just would like to see the guy get an opportunity somewhere where he's going to probably be more wanted than he is here. I think as soon as Zaidi took over, he was just never going to be, when Zaidi takes over and drafts a catcher 2 years after Bart was taking, the writing was on the wall. So we will drop that. And other than that, that's all I have for this show today. I am going to be posting another video tomorrow. I will do the minor league roundup. It was only 3 games for Sacramento. They played a doubleheader today as well as a game yesterday. So the minor league roundup will be a really short one this week, and then the single A, high A, and double A, all their teams start next Friday, as well as triple A will have a full week. So the following week's episode will have a lot more to talk about. But other than that, as always, if you like the video and the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate all the support. We're at like 370 subscribers, so you guys have been awesome and supporting so much of this. But other than that, that's all I have for today. Go Giants, and hopefully they will go down to LA and beat the Bums and take 2 of 3 and kind of make a statement. That'd be really nice to see. So have a good one, everyone.